everybody, and thanks for joining us for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. If you don't know what Rec Poker is, we're a free community of amateur recreational poker lovers. We love learning about the game. We love sharing our love of the game. We make each other better by studying together, and most of it's free. It's all at rec.poker. Go check it out and get an account today. All it takes is an email address and a smile. I've got the best job in the world, so every week I get to sit here with these recreational poker wizards and interview some fun folks from around the poker world. My name is Jim Reid. I'm Bluffsterini in the home game, and I have to thank our friends at Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and of course, Website Mark over at Website Amp. As I mentioned, I'm Jim Reid. I'm just one of the Wrecking Crew members that make everything go here at Rec Poker. You can go to rec.poker/crew if you want to find out more about them, or you can just open up your ear holes because you're about to hear from them right now.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 on the Poker Stars home game.
And I am John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN everywhere.
And Keith Brandt is pulling a Somsky.
And I'm Keith Brandt, and I am Monkey System everywhere, even when I'm on mute.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 just about everywhere.
Right on. We've got a few premium members here as well, Jim and Joe. And I see Kim, Pet Vet Kilroy, is joining us as well. So Kim, looking forward to hearing from you at some point tonight. You always bring such great insight to the conversation. So I want to just, I'm so excited to be here. I want to thank a couple premium members. Roger Schutte. We don't talk enough about Roger Schutte, but he's a great guy. I got to hang out with him in Las Vegas. He's a big help to Rec Poker. He handles a lot of our podcast post-production stuff, and we really couldn't do what we do here without him. So Roger, thank you for your support as a premium member and everything you do. And
Did you
Harold
mention
Berry,
that he's a tough player in the home game? Because you didn't mention that. Because he's a very tough player in the home game.
Have you been having a little trouble with GraphX 16?
I've had some run-ins with him recently.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. There's no doubt about it. And Harold Berry is another premium member who joined over the last little while, who I've gotten to know a little in the strategy conversations we've been having. So, Harold, thank you so much for your support. $15 a month. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes a big difference to us and it helps us with everything we're doing here. So thank you, Harold, for your support. And I hope to talk to you again soon. So I've said it before. Best job in the world. Just get to sit here on Monday nights and talk to the luminaries from the poker world. This week, we're talking to Mike Patrick. He's been on the show before. He's a friendly Canuckian, and we're going to talk about all sorts of exciting stuff. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. Always fun to be with you.
Yeah, we had a good time down in Vegas as well. I got a chance to tip back a couple of suds with you.
Absolutely.
Which is great. And I think we might get the same opportunity this year. Why don't we start with that?
Sure.
It's the beginning of April, so summer camp is around the corner. People are booking flights and getting ready to overpay for accommodations on the strip. It's an exciting time.
I can't wait. Last fall was my first World Series, working with PokerNews. My first time out there for the entire series, and as fun as it was in the fall, and the weather was great. I'm a sick human being. I want the heat. I love it hot and hell in Vegas. So, yeah, I'm ready for a true summer camp and ready for another month and a half just slamming out reporting for PokerNews every day.
Yeah, let's talk. We talked last time you were on the show. We talked a little bit about your job reporting for PokerNews when you're down there. I should have asked. Are you working with them again this year for WSOP? Yeah. Do you know that? You are. Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, they haven't sent my official contract yet, but I've agreed verbally to it, or whatever. But yeah, no, they've sent me my offer and I've accepted. So
that's great.
Send the formal paperwork, and I will be on my way.
Well, that's good news for
everything. So. Yeah,
good news for everybody in the poker world, because I love your write-ups and it's great having you there on the floor, getting that action together for sure. So I've got about 1 million questions. You know me, I got no trouble filling some dead air. But if anyone else in the group here has any questions for Mike, just feel free to toss them in the chat there, or just unmute and jump in. So yeah, it's going to be here before we know it. Have you already kind of started thinking about ways that you'll be better prepared your second year doing it, or are there some tips that you might sort of like give past Mike if you had a chance to tell him what it was going to be like last year?
Well, I think the first thing that I'm going to be more comfortable with is just knowing people. The hardest part of the job is you're in a tournament on a tournament floor with so many people. If you're doing like a big no limit hold'em event or something, and you've got to just kind of find people and find hands and find out what's going on and find stuff that's worthy of putting in the blog. And having done the fall last year, I've met a lot of people, and I'm much more familiar with a lot of players and stuff that are going to be more and more, especially in the mixed game streets, because I did pretty much all of the mixed games last year. So those are kind of nice because the fields are smaller and you get to know the players a little bit better. So I can't wait to get back out there and see all those folks again and write on their hands and everything. And yeah, I'm just going to be a lot more comfortable out on the floor, just walking and going, okay, okay, cool. Because it's a little awkward when you're first doing it and you write down a hand and you have to tap them on the shoulder and go, excuse me, could you tell me your name is, please? Yeah. And then there's like every once in a while you don't recognize someone. Like, one thing I'm really looking forward to this year is that people aren't going to be wearing masks in everything. They can, but they don't have to. So
right.
A situation that happened with me last year that was like totally embarrassing, and we laughed about it after, is I didn't recognize a very notable player who was in the field and building a stack because he was like wearing a hat and glasses and a mask and everything. I didn't recognize him. Lindy, who I had spent extensive time with at Robbie's mix game the day before. I had like chatted with him for a half hour. We talked about his book and everything. We talked about mixed games, and I didn't see him the whole day because I didn't recognize him because he's all hat, shades, hoodie, like mask, everything. And I'm like, at the end of the day, he takes it off. I'm like, Dylan, when did you get here? He's like, I didn't have the day, Mike. I'm like, oh, thanks, great. So, just dodging some of that stuff I'm looking forward to, and getting to see everybody and recognizing where people is going to be a big benefit. So.
Well, that must have been a bit of a trial by fire of just having to go through all that, because that was a chaotic year for a bunch of reasons. Obviously, that was an interesting time to get your feet wet, no doubt.
That was a hell of a year to get started. I mean, we just everything going on, just COVID related and new protocols and everything that they had to get through and everything like that. And then on top of it all, we were a little short staffed at times, and I guess this is like sometimes people aren't necessarily they get into it and then they realize it's not really for them. So the possibility of losing a couple of people during the series is there. So that happened with us, and so we were we were fighting to get through by the end, but we always do.
Yeah,
we always do, and we did, and everybody learned from it, and we're all going to be better for it this summer.
Yeah, and that's great for that bonding too, right? I mean, you're really in the foxhole with people by the end of that, where you're really counting on each other, and that must have been great.
Absolutely, it was just so good to be part of such a great team. There's so many good people that work with us, and right from the top to like every new reporter like myself last year. And then it's going to be great to get the band back together, as they say. So we're looking forward. Everything's looking forward to that. I know I am.
And you actually just got back from a trip overseas where you're doing some reporting in Prague. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, that was very cool. I got a message from my boss there, Shirley Yang, who is the European live reporting executive with PokerNews. And so she messaged me around the start of February, I guess it was. And I knew that Turning Stone was coming up. And I thought, being close to Turning Stone, I might get a call for that to do that. So when she messaged me, I was like, oh, cool. I guess I maybe get to go to Turning Stone. So I messaged her back and said, hey, how you doing? And she says, hey, what are you doing start of March? I'm like, hopefully Turning Stone. And she's like, nope, Prague. I'm like, what? So I'm like, okay, Syracuse or Europe? Let me see. Where do I want to go? Yes, please. So that was a really, really cool surprise. I'd never been to Europe proper, been to the UK a couple times, but never been to Prague or anywhere there. So I was more than on board and just so stoked to get over there. And the city was amazing. It was so cool to be back reporting such a cool event again. A lot of folks that I'd worked with in Vegas were there as well, so it was great to see them again. And it was just, I think any of these gigs is just exciting and fun and action packed, and you're never bored. you're not bored for a second, whether you're working or you're not working, because you're going to be in a cool location. And it was just super exciting to, have like mornings at least free to walk around and explore the city a little bit, and then a couple days off. But then the actual reporting was fantastic. Just the tournaments were so great. Like the fields were amazing. There were just such huge turnout. The demand for poker in Europe is just so hot right now. Like I think they knew that they were going to get large turnouts for these events. I don't think they knew they were going to be that big, because there were a couple of days where they were playing day one flights that had to get down to 15% of the field to advance to day two to get to the money before they could wrap the day up. And generally they're scheduled to kind of wrap around midnight, 1 a.m. And one day had to go 2 extra full levels. So it didn't wrap up to like almost 3 a.m. So that, and then writing a recap at the end of the night and everything, getting chip counts at the end of the night. So I didn't get back to my hotel till like 5:30. And, it's a long day, but you're in for it. You know what's going to happen some days. There's going to be some short days along the way too. You get a quick final table or something like that. But it was just a super, super cool experience to be a part of an event as prestigious as EPT Prague, which is just a staple of the European Tour, which is so great to see back. And I know Monte Carlo's coming up. That's going to be amazing. I'm hoping they're going to announce Barcelona soon. It's just really cool to see poker in Europe booming again.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like, PokerNews and other, there's all these kind of, there's poker's an industry of its own outside of the game. I know you know that, and a lot of our listeners know that. But there's room for people to get involved and to sort of to make a place for themselves in the poker world. We've seen it. We talked about this before with you. Kevin Mathers is a great example. Some of our members on the Wrecking Crew just kind of like stepping up and making a place for themselves. How would you advise folks if they're interested in doing reporting stuff? Like, how should they get in touch with PokerNews? Is there someone they could talk to? Like, how do you kind of prove yourself to be able to take that next step and join the team there? Because it sounds like you guys are having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's a great gig. It's a lot of work. It's not, you just show up at a poker tournament, write down a couple of hands, and then go explore the city. It's not that easy. It may sound like that, but no, there's a lot of work to it, and you do have to know your poker, and you do have to write well. But if you are interested, and if you have, if you're a capable writer, if you're interested in poker, if you know the games, then the World Series is actually a great first step. It's kind of like the trial by fire. It's where we have our biggest team for any of our events, and it's where a lot of people like myself get their starts. They get their first shot there, and they prove themselves in probably the toughest situation they're going to be in. And then once you show that you can thrive there, then you're kind of on the team, I guess, and you get called for future events. But yeah, if you're interested in poker, if you like writing about poker, by all means. We might be a little bit too late right now, but we usually put out a casting call. I know we did on Twitter and Facebook, but a month ago, probably looking for part of our team for this year, along with the folks that are coming back from last year and from previous years. But I'll just throw Chad's name out because he is the guy at PokerNews. Chad Holloway is a great guy to get in touch with. Matt Hansen, who's one of our guys, he's a great one to get in touch with. Shirley Ang, who I mentioned, she's also in charge of a lot of our live reporting. Yori Epskamp is one of our guys at the top. So, I mean, they're all awesome people. Fortunately, I've known a few of them for a little bit before I worked for PokerNews, and they're all super cool people, and they're super accessible. You can reach out to any of them on social media, or even myself at Mike Patrick 98, and I can probably steer you in the right direction of people as well.
Right on. Well, getting a little closer to home. So, listeners of the show, we've had a few Canadian guests on in a row recently. I promise we are not all moving to Canada just because I've gotten more involved in hosting the show and that sort of thing. We had Evan Grips Jarvis on a few weeks ago, and he lives in Toronto. I know you live in Southern Ontario as well. I'm not going to dox you by telling everyone exactly where. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about something a little closer to home. I know, Mike, you and I both live in Ontario, and there's some big changes coming to Ontario in the next little while. By the time people are hearing this, it'll just have taken effect. There's going to be this new fenced-in policy taking place in Ontario online gaming, and you've looked into that a little bit, Mike. Why don't you just talk to us a bit about what's happening in Ontario, who the players are, and what are the ramifications for recreational players here?
So as of April 4th, the new legislation, I guess you can call it, making online gambling, including poker, legal in Ontario has kicked in, which means that poker sites are no longer going to be accessible to the rest of the world. In Ontario, we're going to be in a ring fence, like you said. It's going to be basically like what U.S. markets have to deal with, like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Nevada, Michigan, where you play in your state and that's it. And that's how it's going to be in Ontario. And it's already started, like we said, on April 4th. 888 was the first ones to go live. PokerStars GG Party, they're on their way, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to share my surprised joy over what's happened so far.
All right.
It's like 2005 all over again on this site. That's amazing. So basically, yeah, the field sizes are infinitely smaller. Tournaments are really small. There's only a couple of cash games running a day. But here's the thing that's beautiful about it. Yeah, like I said, it's like 2005. I played some 1-2 today, and the general kind of consensus is that online poker is a tenth of the stake of what it's like live. So if you're playing, 50-cent dollar online, it's the skill equivalent of playing like 5-10 live. 1-2 online in Ontario is 1-2 live. It's freaking amazing. I had my HUD going. There's guys with 90% VPIPs. There's just, it's amazing. If people are playing like 1-2 games online, are playing like 1-2 live games. It's fantastic. So that's what's going for it. The overlays on tournaments are huge so far. I don't know how long this is going to last. So yesterday was day one on April 4th. There were $100 tournaments with 10K guarantees that got 27 players.
Wow.
That's a
okay.
$7,300 overlay on a 10K tournament.
Wow.
It was incredible. There were $55 tournaments. They were getting 6K in overlay. I think the 1650 they had something like 3K in overlay. It's massive overlay. Like, people just aren't there. The games are soft. It's fantastic. So if you're there, 888, check it out. It's a throwback.
Yeah, because we were talking before that, like, fencing it in means that the player pool's smaller. So if your jam is large field MTTs where you're going to get that huge multiplier and win a tournament with like 20,000 people in it, then that's what has been lost here for Ontario. But what they're making up for it is that you're playing against other people who live in Ontario, who make Ontario wages, and not all the crushers from less developed parts of the world who are, just playing in the global player pool. So that makes a lot of sense that the level of play isn't quite as sophisticated, which is good news. So if you're playing cash games or small field tournaments, this is probably good news for you as an Ontario player.
Absolutely. The percentage of fun players in fields is way higher than you're going to find anywhere else. I mean, yeah, you're definitely losing, obviously, the big fields and the high traffic sites, but percentage wise for softness of games, infinitely better. So I'm trying to find the positive of it because, especially as a mixed game player, I'm not looking forward to when PokerStars goes away as well. They're still around. We'll just mention that in a sec. But yeah, for now, the sites are going to be very, very juicy with a lot of promotions and a lot of soft games when they start up.
And then logistically speaking, I know, so we talked about 888. I know PokerStars and GG and a couple other firms are making their way into the area. What are those like logistics of how that's going to happen for players in Ontario?
So April 4th was the launch date officially for everything as it was supposed to be, but some sites just aren't ready yet, and they're being allowed a grace period to get their stuff together, basically to join the Ontario only fenced-in market, which means that for now, players can still play in the rest of the world on regular PokerStars, GG, Party Poker, anywhere. But they eventually will have to be introduced into the ring fence, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But for now, I actually received emails from Stars and GG yesterday saying that, yeah, Stars is not going to be going live in Ontario until after Scoop. So they said, stick around. We're going to be here. Enjoy Scoop. Like, I will enjoy Scoop. Don't worry. GG said likewise. I think they were originally planning on launching their WSOP.ca. They're going directly with the WSOP link, which is really cool and is very exciting. And they're probably going to bring a lot of recreational players in just with that brand name.
Yep.
They also announced that they're delayed and are going to hold off until after their spring series. So you've still got some time with Party GG. Party Poker, I'm not sure what they're doing yet. They're going to be linked to BetMGM, so as they are in the States. So whether they do a complete switch over to BetMGM, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, PokerStars GG, you can still go on live, but 888 is Ontario only. But yeah, the games are pretty juicy.
The game's pretty good. And so are you just booking time off now to start playing online and try and take advantage of some of these soft games?
I'm basically trying to smash. I have a side gig where I write, describe video scripts. So I do that as a freelancer. So I'm trying to cram as much work in that gig into as tight as possible as possible, so I can basically get in there and play as much as possible. So awesome. Yeah, so trying to get as much reps in as possible.
That's great. Now I know one thing we've talked about before is mixed games, and I know that that was another issue. Smaller fields, smaller player pools, there's not going to be as many mixed game fans. Is that something that you anticipate being an issue here in Ontario?
I don't know. I'm curious. Like, I've only got the 2 days of playing on 888 so far, and granted 888 had a smaller traffic area on the regular site as it was, and they didn't offer mixed games either, so I can't really gauge anything based on that. Just based on play on PokerStars, I know there are a lot of Canadians that do play mixed games, some in the evenings, decent amount on the weekends, that I'm hoping they at least offer them. And we see what happens if, again, like I said, so long as there are games running, if there's a game or two going, it's a game or two going in cash games. I don't see tournaments maybe happening, but I guess that's just kind of going to have to be a wait and see. And I'm really, really hopeful that they do offer mixed games, because for established mixed game players like myself that are being converted over to the Ontario market, and potentially new players that may be curious and hop on the site for the first time, take advantage of the promotions and go, oh, what's this stud 8 or better, 7 cards, this looks like fun, and then the nice people like me who know what they're doing so, yeah, so if you guys are just listening on the podcast, I just did the Mr. Burns there, so
that's right. Yeah. Mike's got some plans for the mixed game players that are going to be picking up the game here in Ontario. Well, is there anything else? Is there anything else about the Ontario online scene that you want to talk about? Because I have some other questions about mixed games we can get into too. But
I think, I mean, I'm still disappointed by it, obviously, and it's gonna suck to be not able to play in giant field tournaments and knowing there's going to be mixed games and everything like that. But I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far in the quality of the games. I just hope those fun players don't go broke too quickly. And I'm curious to see what happens when the big boys like Stars and GG with WSOP.ca and Party get in there, because with more options available, it's going to probably spread out the already smaller amount of traffic. So 888 could conceivably have the market cornered right now, and it's not that much. But then, when Stars and GG and the more established sites get in there, it'll be interesting to see how much traffic they get as compared to what's already in there. So it's wait and see. We'll find out in a couple of months.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And honestly, that's what I'm kind of telling our listeners too, and people that write in, is that this is kind of this sort of thing doesn't happen very often. I'm sure they've all got really good plans in place, but whether the plans will be realized perfectly or if they'll have to pull some audibles along the way, I would say just kind of stay tuned, and we'll get some more details about that soon. Well, let's take a little segue there into mixed games, because I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart. We're actually doing some more mixed games events here at Rec Poker every month. It'll be too late to join this month, but by the time this comes out on the fourth Wednesday of every month. On the fourth Wednesday of every month, we'll be doing a mixed game demonstration here at Rec Poker that's free for all community members. A different mixed game every month, so people can learn a little more and feel a little more comfortable getting into mixed games. Mike, I don't know if we asked you last time you were on the show. What is your favorite mixed game and why?
Honestly, it's tough to pick just one because I am such a fan of a lot of games. If you throw an 8-game mix at me, I'm happy as anything just to have all of it. If I had to pick one, God, it's a toss-up probably between Stud 8 and Deuce to 7 Triple Draw. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to go outside of that. I'm just going to write to No Limit Deuce to 7. It's not in like an 8-game mix traditionally, or a horse or whatever. But yeah, outside of it, No Limit Deuce to 7. It's the best. It's so pure. It's so simple. It's looking at your opponent and figuring out if he's got it or not. It's a beautiful, beautiful game.
Hey, John,
yeah, let's go No Limit Deuce.
Well, so speaking of mixed games, you've had a history with mixed games in Rec Poker. In 2020, you ran wire to wire first place for our mixed game series, and in 2021, you came in second to Taylor Moss, Gopher Boy TJM. He claims that has so thoroughly demoralized you that you are really unable to play at your normal level. And this year, you are currently in 12th place. So what say you, Mike Patrick?
What say I is that I'm just going to go full heel right now. And I will just say right now, I will lean forward, I will look into this camera, and I will say, Taylor Moss, the only reason you won last year is because I missed 2 months while I was in Vegas. If I'd have just sat in those tournaments and not even showed up and played, just sat and just blinded off, I still would have made enough points to beat you. So your tournament, your win last year is flawed. It's only because I wasn't there. Okay, so that's out of my system. But no, Taylor's an awesome mixed game player, and he deserves it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad we made that point clear because Mike did miss a couple games last year, just for the record. Yeah, Chris.
Well, I just was going to say, I do believe we have our clip that we need to pull for this to promote this episode. It's right there.
I even changed the camera view, so that was just a close up of Mike. That'll be fun to review later. So I hope our man Chad McBean gets a look at that.
So I guess basically to not make excuses, I'm going to have to just rip off a whole bunch of wins here because I already missed one because I was in Prague. And I'm going to miss 2 more when I'm in Vegas for the World Series. So, I'm only going to get 9 shots at it this year. So I'm going to have to run pretty sweet the rest of the year when I am playing.
That is a pretty sweet story in the winner's circle. And you're like, I just only took 3/4 of the game that the rest of you jerks got here. So
I guess I do have sort of a serious question about that too, is because you just mentioned, like reporting, you really enjoy reporting. You get to go to like Prague and go to the World Series and these really great events. But like, as a player yourself who really enjoys playing these games, how do you find that balance between reporting and playing? And how do you work out your schedule, and what kind of sacrifices does that make on both sides for you?
So this year I made sure to book into my schedule that I get some time around the $1,500 8-game this year. Last year I didn't want to do anything because it was my first year at the World Series, and I just wanted to, throw whatever you can at me. They basically put it into your schedule. It's like, okay, you can play 1, maybe 2 events if you want. Let us know beforehand and we'll try to work your schedule around it. So the only thing I requested last year was like, okay, I've never played the casino employees event before. It's the first year I'm a casino employee. I should play it. So I played it, and I punted off my stack very, very quickly and ended up going to the Orleans and playing 2-5 for the rest of the day. but that was cool, and I had the opportunity to do that. But this year, I made sure to request that I have the days around the 1508 game off to go play that this year. So looking forward to that. And then Robbie Straczynski also mentioned this week that he is going to be running V2 of his mixed game festival, which is going to be not at the Westgate, but I am not at leisure to say where it's going to be, but it's going to be a lot better than the Westgate. Love the Westgate though. The Westgate is cool. No disrespect to the Westgate, but the Westgate ain't where this is going to be this year. And I'm looking forward to checking out this year's edition of the festival.
Yeah, that was a huge hit last year. People had so much fun doing that and having those games available to play cash and the tournament structure and everything like that. I think that was a big hit, and hopefully the dates line up and I can come down and visit for some of that when we're down there.
I believe he's announced it's going to be the 11th through the 14th of June, something like that. 11th to 14th or 12th through the 15th. Check Robbie's Twitter.
Yep.
He'll have it on there.
Robbie, he puts a lot of good stuff out there, so that's a good Twitter handle to go follow their Card Player Lifestyle. And we've talked before about how kind of live poker is also having a bit of a renaissance in Ontario as the province is opening up, more card rooms are opening up, and the mandates are being lessened. People are getting out and playing more. There's I kind of we've talked about this before, Mike. I kind of refer to South Ontario as being like this black hole of poker. I know the poker rooms. There's some poker rooms out there. There's people that want to play poker. What's up with the disconnect? You've been traveling around a little bit lately and checking out some card rooms in Ontario. What have you found?
Well, I want to be positive about this. I want to say it's great to be out playing live in Southern Ontario again, but God, it's just I got spoiled with 2 months in Vegas and being able to play there for a while, and just getting back to Prague and playing there and being around an APT, and then getting my first looks at what the Ontario scene is like. It's good. So we can't deny, like, saying that it's a renaissance is completely correct, because the rooms are packed. But that's the problem. The rooms are packed, and the rooms are not accommodating for those players. I made a trip to one of the local casinos, Great Blue Heron, and we'll mention their rake situation just as an aside in a bit, but that's a whole other story.
Right.
But just the staffing of the room and just making games available to players, it's just not there. Like, it's the same situation where, like, they do take wait lists, but the wait lists are huge, and they're leaving half the room open. They're not staffing the room completely, and the wait lists are massive. When I was there, they're not even. They open the room at 12. They don't answer the phone until 12. So you basically have to get there before 12 o'clock, get in a line, sign up on a clipboard, and then hope for the best. I phoned in at 12:01, got on the wait list through a phone in, arrived 15 minutes later, and did not see my name anywhere on the list. I went to the desk. They said, we're taking all these people first, and we'll worry about phone-ins after. Like, all right, fine, sure. They had 6 tables running in a 12-table room. There were 50 people on the wait list for 1-2 and 2-5, amongst other games that were like 10, 20 players deep for the limit games and the Omaha and stuff like that. And it's just, it's plain and simple. They're not staffing the room. And even when they are, they're not filling the tables. I sat there and watched a dealer sit at an empty table for an entire down, and they never sat players at his table. He sat there for a half hour, and nobody came. And I asked him, like, "Oh no, they're going around the tables. They're trying to find players to fill the game." But they're not filling the game, and there's these massive wait lists, and it just goes back to like the overwhelming feeling of the owners of the casinos that poker doesn't make as much money as the rest of the room.
Sure.
So they'd rather have people waiting in line, going and playing slots, going and playing blackjack, whatever. But that's not necessarily the case. And to ask people to wait ridiculous amounts to play and hope that they do that it's unfair. It's crazy. Like,
and like, let's just be frank about this. If if they ran the tables, they would make a profit on the tables, right? Like it's not like they're out there doing it at a loss. I know they make more off the square footage of the slots and other table games and that kind of thing, but it seems crazy to have people on a wait list to play and tables available to play and just not put the two together. Do you think, is this purely a dealer talent issue? Is this a worker issue? What's going on?
I think part of it is that, I mean, I know they lost some people to staffing to COVID and everything like that, and they just didn't come back, but the demand is there. You have to fill the room. And especially if, like, every Ontario room is now boosted their rate to 10% up to $15, which is craziness. One of my colleagues at PokerNews, John Soffin, wrote an awesome article about the situation at Encore Boston Harbor and the outrage there that they thinned out their room, took out a bunch of tables, and bumped their rate to 10% up to $10. Ontario is 15.
And is that even at the lower stakes at 1, 2, 1, 3? They're taking $15. Wow. Yeah.
That's at 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 5. That's
a lot. That's a lot.
So if they're taking that much rate and you have that many people wanting to play anyway, fill your table.
Yeah.
Get that rate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that does seem crazy to me. And you know what, Mike, I'll just tell you, you're not the first person to tell me. And I got nothing against Blue Heron. They're probably the closest casino to me. I play in a satellite league just about half an hour away from there. And we wanted to go and play after our session. And there was like a 5-hour wait on the list. And people told me that they go up there, they get on the list, they turn around after 5 or 6 hours, and they never even get seated. And there's empty tables the whole time. So it does feel like, it just seems like I guess I just don't understand.
I don't either. Like, you've got the space. Find the dealers. Find the staffing. You've got the demand. Do it.
Is that just an issue at that one casino, or I know you've been around to a few others, and what have your experiences been?
So Casino Rama is they've gone back in time actually to like before the days of Bravo and Poker Atlas, where you can't actually phone in to put your name on a wait list. You just show up and hope for the best. That's literally how it works there now.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's no list, there's no phone in the poker room. You can call the switchboard, and I think they'll basically just confirm that the room's open and tell you the games are running. But I think that's the best you're going to get. You literally just show up, and if there's a giant wait list, off to the slots and blackjack with you is what they hope for.
Yep.
So I checked that out. I haven't been to Elements Brantford. I know their rake is the same, 10% for 15. Checking Bravo, giant wait lists. The usual there. Casino Niagara just opened up last week. So I went there, checked that out, and was pleasantly surprised on some things, a little concerned about a couple other things. So the pleasant surprise was that I did not actually have to wait that long. They were taking phone-ins. Same thing. They opened the room at 12 o'clock, phoned in shortly after, went, had lunch, came in at about 12:45, and big wait lists, but they were predominantly phone-ins. The room was busy.
Gotcha.
They had plenty of dealers. They had 12 games going when I was there. And I got in within 5 minutes. So I was very happy about that. So much better situation with regards to that. The rake is the same actually as it was before COVID. And they do session fee actually there. So they don't do the 10% up to 15. They do it by session fee, which is still kind of gross if you don't blast off and you want to play a nice long session. So 1-3 is $7 per half hour down, $8 per half hour down at 2-5. And I think it's 9 or 10 at 5-10 and above. So a lot of people like that, but if you want to play a nice long session, it can get pricey. Like if you're playing a 1-3 session and you're paying $7 a half hour, that's $14 an hour. If you want to play a 10-hour session, you're getting $140 taken off your stack immediately. So you just keep that in mind. So if you kind of play a tight aggressive style, it gets a little costly, and the rake is probably almost better in that situation. But,
and some players don't understand the haste in those situations either. And so if you're playing at a table with just a few players who are really slow, that can really drive down your hands per hour. And if you're playing on a session fee, then that's great. Like you don't want to be in that mix. So
yeah,
that can be a problem.
I know. I try to keep bathroom breaks and running out for a quick bite to eat to a minimum because I got to get those hands in. So so that's a positive. I mean, the room was full. It was bouncing. There was like I said, 12 tables when I got there. They were filling it up. The downside is that they have taken out some tables. They used to have 24 tables, I believe, and I think now they have 16 or 18. They've got a nice little section of tables where you can sit and eat if you don't mind paying your session fee and not playing.
Right.
But so they have that available now. Just a little thing for the people that play there, if anybody there is actually listening. The lock on the bathroom in the poker room is still broken. They never fixed that, so that's just a random weird little thing.
So some things have not changed since before COVID-19. The lock on the bathroom and the session structure.
Yeah, and one thing that is actually more pertinent is they're still playing 10-handed.
Oh,
yeah!
Wow.
And the extra kicker to that is they have plexiglass around the dealer.
Okay,
which is just. Okay, so we were doing this like, a year and a half ago or whatever when they were trying to open up in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
And so they've got the little plexiglass thing with like just around the dealer, and it takes up a little bit of space into 1 in the 10 seats.
Of course it does.
So now they're trying to cram 10 people around not even a full table anymore. And it's really cozy. So if you want to go get your COVID while you're playing, go get some of that BA2 or whatever it is and go play some 10-handed. But
hey, on the bright side, poker players famously smell fantastic. So at least you'll have that going for you while you're nuzzling up close to a buddy.
So true. Bring your friends, get cozy, and play some nice 10-handed poker. But like I said, at least you can get seated quickly there. So
yep, that's true. So it sounds like there's a lot of demand. Like it sounds like Ontarians want to play live poker. The casinos just got to put more tables out, hire more dealers. It sounds like even Ontario players are willing to kind of overpay a little bit, just to get it in there. So, what happens kind of naturally in these situations is that you end up seeing private games or underground games or whatever you want to call them, unlicensed games with, a spectrum of legality on how whether they're profiting from the game or not. And that's kind of inevitable when people can't play in regulated, safe, official commercial spaces. They still want to play poker. They're going to find somewhere else to play. So there's pros and cons, of course. Friendly game, there's nothing wrong with having a friendly game with friends. If you want to play for money and don't take a rake, it's not even illegal. You can do whatever you want in that kind of a circumstance. But it kind of creates this vacuum where underground poker games are going to develop a little bit. And, they also have high rake usually because they've got a kind of different endeavor going on. They've got different costs. They don't have the same kind of scale. Obviously, things like security and game integrity can be an issue. I'm not saying they always are, of course, but it's just harder to be sure about that kind of thing. Have you had any experience with that in Ontario, or have you heard anything about new clubs or ways that people are kind of getting around this?
Yeah, so I know the games are running. I think some of them actually ran through COVID.
Yeah, I heard that
because I didn't touch any of them during it. I played a little bit. I played a couple sessions before COVID, and despite the fact that there was one like 10 minutes from my house, which was really nice and convenient, it just wasn't for me. I just the idea of going into some little industrial complex and playing basically in a warehouse with, a couple cameras and
right.
I don't know. I guess like if there's enough people that know each other, then it's, they feel comfortable enough, but I didn't know anybody there. So I kind of felt like the outsider. So I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't feel the vibe of it. I mean, the rake was pretty gross. I remember back then. I can only imagine it's gotten worse now. But I mean, if you're willing to play in that kind of environment, yeah, I'm not going to say that they're all sketchy. I mean, sure, a lot of them are up and up, and obviously a lot of them have been running for a while and they're legit. And there's plenty of history with the Toronto underground scene. Daniel Negreanu has talked about it at length many times about his coming up in the game through playing in underground clubs in Toronto. So I mean, I'm not going to disparage them, but they are definitely something that you have to be comfortable with and something that you know what you're in for when you play in them. They're definitely not a casino environment as much as they try to be, but they're all right. But just know what you're in for.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to have Daniel on the show in a few weeks, so I'll be interested to get some details about that specifically as it suits us today. And I know, like, so some tips, I guess, if people are going to explore these kind of gray market games, you said it right off the bat, like get into a game where people can vouch for it, where there are people there that that you trust. Don't carry a lot of cash with you the first couple times you go. And ultimately you are going to be the one protecting yourself, protecting your cards, protecting your action, protecting your buy-in. There's just, when it's not a regulated system like that, it just creates the opportunity for bad actors to not have your interests in mind. So, just be on your guard, go with a friend, get comfortable, and then, there's no right or wrong answers here, but it is a decision that everyone has to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about, I know you occasionally dip into your own home game with buddies on PokerStars and that kind of thing as well. Have you been doing that much at all, or is it the play money home games at Rec Poker, and then as much live as we can get onto you, and then all this great new stuff happening at 8 and beyond?
I think I think the home games are honestly, I'd love to get a home game going at my place. I mean, if I get you, Chad, some of my friends that used to play in my game, I'd love to get a game going back at home. Because we did the Zoom PokerStars home games, at the start of COVID, and that was kind of wacky and fun and different, and the way to keep in touch with everybody during that. But that's kind of gone away, obviously, as things have progressed. But yeah, I'm itching to get some boys over for a home game. So the invite is there, my friend. If you don't mind driving out from your place, you're about an hour from me?
Yeah, an hour on the highway is nothing.
That's worth the drive. Better than Heron.
Yeah, sorry, it's true.
Sorry, Heron.
Well, I think a couple of those guys are out in the east end of the province too, so maybe we could do a little rotation. I think that would be a lot of fun. Well, I'm just itching. I mean, every time we talk about live poker, I really just immediately want to go out and play some live poker. So we're just gonna have to make something happen. Mike.
Road trip to Playground. Let's make that happen. They're rocking since they reopened.
It's probably my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite Canadian poker room. So if our listeners don't know, the Playground Poker Club is in the province of Quebec. It's just east of Ontario. It's near the city of Montreal. It's a World Poker Tour stop, and it's certainly like a premier poker room. And I've actually never lost at Playground. Every time I've gone to Playground, I've won, which is nice.
I don't think I've ever won there, actually. I love it there, but man, I run real salty there.
That's awesome.
But I keep coming back because it is the best run room, period. Yep. I poop on the Ontario rooms at what they're doing, and it's as simple as you look at a place like Playground and how they run their room and how much they offer their players. They basically, their motto is, for players by players, and it's completely true. Everyone on staff there understands what a poker player wants. Everything is fantastic. The chairs are comfortable. They are never at a shortage for dealers. There's always a table open. The free food, the rake is great. Cheaper. The rake is cheaper than it is in Ontario now, and they take a chunk out to go to give you the free food and drinks and everything like that.
Yep. And
people used to complain about that, but not so much anymore. If they're coming from Ontario, they're like, oh my God, so I get free food and cheaper rake. Let's go.
Yep.
It's Playground is the gold standard for places. This is, I swear, is not a commercial for Playground. But if you guys need another sponsor, then that'd be a good one to have.
It would.
But yeah, Playground is amazing, and there are a lot of poker rooms out there that can learn from what places like them and some of the better run rooms in Las Vegas are doing. So it's just, it's not hard. It doesn't.
It's not hard. It's just, it shouldn't be like they've figured all this stuff out already, right? Like that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I've never understood why some rooms that unfortunately that we're local to just don't seem to want to try to emulate what rooms that are known throughout the world as being immaculate. Mm-hmm. It's not hard. So,
well, Playground, come at us. Let us know. Maybe it's time to get a Quebec sponsor. I don't believe we have a Quebec sponsor here at Rec Poker yet. That could be fun. Just located 20 minutes out of downtown, beautiful Montreal, which is a mecca for tourism and all sorts of fun things to do down there as well. I've even just taken the train from Cobourg to Playground, played overnight, and then taking the train back just because I'm a life nit and I don't like paying for hotel rooms. But that's a great way to do it too. I've always had a good time over there.
Sounds like a good journey.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Mike, you gave your Twitter handle, Mike Patrick 98. Where else is there another way for people to get in touch with you? Is it just Twitter the best way?
That's the best way to get a hold of me. I gave up on Facebook a long time ago.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, that got dumb. So Twitter's the best way to get a hold of me. I promise I'm generally way more positive and I don't go on endless tirades about the Ontario poker, the poker here. I'll throw a few funny gifs up about it maybe, but I'm not going to be ranting too much on there. I generally like to keep it a little more fun and positive.
Yeah,
you set me off. You set me off with the Taylor Moss thing. What did you think was going to happen?
Mea culpa. That's it. We led you right into it, buddy.
I'm just kidding. Love you, Taylor.
All right. Well, wonderful. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure talking with you. I know we're going to get a chance to hang out in Vegas again this year, if not before. But maybe we'll visit some really terrible Ontario poker rooms in the meantime and have a couple of drinks.
I'm probably going to be at Casino Niagara on Friday if they let me in. I'm going to go check out their opening day and see what it is. I'm expecting it to be just booming. But if any of you guys are in the area, our American friends there, probably not so much. But Jim, Chad, I know you're there. If you guys are in the area, want to come down, I'll probably be there on Friday. And if I don't see you there, I'll see you in Vegas for sure.
Yes, sir. All right. I'm looking forward to that. Well, we're going to move into our little community section here, start talking about who's winning the home games and what's going on in Rec Poker for the next little while. Mike, of course, you're welcome to stick around, but the portion of the interview is over, my man. So if you want to go be at blast and get a bite to eat or something like that, we will understand.
I've actually got a ton of work at my other gig to do still tonight, so I'm going to bounce. But always awesome talking to you, Jim, and everybody on the crew here. Thanks for having me again. Great talking to y'all, and I hope to see you guys all in Vegas.
Right on, Mike. You take care. Good luck with that laundry list.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
So, John, it was another exciting week in Rec Poker home game land. We run 10 home games every week. They're play money. They're free to enter, but you can win real prizes. How can that possibly be true? And what's been going on in the home games lately?
Well, in the home games last week, guess what? We had 10 games and we had 10 winners. So Bruce K54, Bruce,
yes,
got his first nightly victory for the year. Nice. John Lancer, John Bensky, his second. Sweetie Fishy, 77, Lars got his second nightly victory
Lars
for the year.
Back.
PCS 2005, Jack LaRue got his first nightly victory for the year.
Jack rocks.
Jasper Jr., Patrick Berry got his first nightly victory for the year. And GF Hawk, Eric Romo got his nightly victory for the year.
This is like a who's who of Rec Poker members here. I feel like these are some, we're getting some big names coming through here this week. Must have just been a big week.
Yes, it is. And then Jay Mayusa won the mixed game this week. Mm-hmm. Roadstar 33, Randy Smith got his second international, and actually it was the 9 a.m. 8 a.m. tournament, and he won it last week as well. So that's back to back in the same tournament.
He's found his time slot.
Yep. Then Oki Cars got his or her first international victory for the year, and Uncle Tom's Cabin won the ALPP event for the second time this year. So you can email jim@rec.poker to get your free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Right on. Yeah. Don't forget, send me that email, jim@rec.poker. If you win the Sunday night game, you get a free month at Learn Pro Poker. That's pretty hard to beat. And it sounds like some of our Ontario members are going to have to do a little dance if they're going to continue playing in the home games because of this fenced-in area thing that Mike was talking about. So
yeah, and it's going to mean I'm going to have to figure out a way to come up with aliases too, so that
right.
So the people who are playing, don't worry, I will manage and try to coordinate so that you keep your points for the year. May take a little extra manual work on my part, and it may, but let me know, because I'm not going to know if you sign up as a new one what your old account ID was. So we'll try to get that all sorted out.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, folks, if you will have to create that separate account, you'll have a new username, a new alias, and when that happens, just send an email to john@rec.poker and give him the details about your old username and your new username, and John will come up with some way to link them together so you have all your points in the Rec Poker pin collection and that kind of thing.
You may not need to. Like I play in some states allow me to play as Fergie 56 and some states don't, so it all depends on what they do with PokerStars in Ontario and play money games. You may still be able to play the play money games, home games, from your original username.
Okay, so fingers crossed. Well, and this is one of those things where until we're not really going to know what the answer is until we've been through it with a few members and see what actually happens. So, but yeah, hopefully that'll just be a little hiccup and we can get back to stealing each other's chips.
If you think about it, I mean, when I first started playing the home games, I was playing under, I think it was .com or something like that. And then I switched to .eu or whatever it is so that I could use my poker tracker.
Right.
But I still had the same sign in. I still had all my play points no matter where I went because I logged in with my same username. So if that's the case, that could be what happens in Ontario too. It might be just as long as you log into that same account, you're going to have all your points available. So Evil Roy, maybe
some
not
of the
worry
people
about it.
who have done, like, they went and they signed up and they migrated their PokerStars username to PokerStars Michigan or PokerStars Pennsylvania, and then they were no longer able to use that on our play money games. They had to sign up with a new ID. So, given all that, I don't know what's actually going to happen. PokerStars may not even know what's actually going to happen yet, but we'll figure it out when it does.
And again, just to remind some folks, so this comes out on Tuesday, April 5th. The next day, Wednesday the 6th, is that monthly No Limit Hold'em home game. So hopefully we can all still play in that one, and then there'll be a few days afterwards to get everything set up. Yeah, Dave says, I wonder if they'll let me migrate my Full Tilt account. Yeah, I think you might have missed your window for that one, Dave. And then let me see, the very next day, Thursday the 7th, is a Monkey Systems study group. I know we've got Keith in the room tonight. Keith, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing on the first Thursday night of every month, working with Advanced Poker Training to help recreational players explore their love of poker.
For this month, we're going to do a final table. Advanced Poker Training allows you to simulate a final table, and you can select whether you're short stack, medium stack, or big stack. And we're going to look at the tools associated with that. And we're basically going to play a final table and crush some bots.
Nice. That's great. And yeah, the theme of the month in April is final tables and ICM. So a lot of the learning material that we're working with this month that Chris Jones produces is going to be based around the idea of learning more about ICM and how to play in final tables. So a few of our different sessions that happen throughout the month of April will have that as a theme. Anything else that folks would like to mention before we get on out of here? I want to tell everyone, while we've got John Somsky in the room, remember, if you send me a photograph of you buying John Somsky a beer, I will buy you a beer in Vegas when we meet up for WSOP. And John, you're welcome to trade that. You can make them buy you a coffee or a tea or a cold glass of pop or juice, your prep, whatever you're up for at the time of day that it is. But I'm going to be buying people to buy you a drink of beer, because you deserve all the thanks and praise for the amazing work you do with our home games. So I haven't gotten a single email, just for the record. I don't know if people have been buying you beers and just not emailing me about it, but that's a huge leak, folks. If you're buying John a beer, you definitely want to send that email and get that free beer in Vegas.
Actually, the lock on our front door has been broken, so I haven't left the house for the last month. So,
And like I said, the only other thing I can think of is on June 1st, we're going to be doing this raffle, where everyone who's a premium member at rec.poker, we're going to throw all your names in a hat and pull one winner out. And that winner will be my partner for the tag team event, bracelet event number 55 in the WSOP on June 26th. So if you're not a premium member and you're thinking about making the plunge, taking that dive into our awesome learning material and our advanced stuff that we have there, just become a premium member so that you're active on June 1st and you can be part of that draw. And someone's got to win that bracelet. Someone's got to do it. Why not us? Why not us? All right, gang. Well, I want to thank our sponsors again at Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino and website AMP. And of course, Keith, Rob, Jim, Dave, Joe, Eric, Martha, Stuart, and John. What a crew. And thanks to everyone else for listening. We'll see you again soon, folks. You take care.